All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into our end of the month live show. I'm going to go ahead and answer your questions tonight. I'll try to get to as many questions as I possibly can, but as a reminder, if I can't answer everybody's question, which I already know I can't, we do have a website that you guys can use anytime 24/7. That website is ropethejackpot.com. I'll pull that up on the screen here for you. There you go. Ropethejackpot.com. There's a free to use chat forum on there. You guys can use anytime 24/7. So if I don't answer your question tonight or I can't get to you, just know that that's always available for you to use. So anyway, guys, welcome in. This is a live Q&A. You guys can ask any question that you'd like, and I will go ahead and take those, as many questions as I can, for about an hour, hour and a half or so. So welcome in, everybody, and thanks for joining us tonight. Question here from Simon about Big Hot Flaming Pots. Is the multiplier more important than the denom? Second question on my casino trip. Should I be doing a budget build up every time? Or if I have $500, play that money? So the second part to your question, if you want to do a budget build up, you can. It's totally up to you, depending on your circumstance, whatever you need to do, that's your choice. Big Hot Flaming Pots, does the multiplier matter more than the denom? The answer to that is no. I'd have to go back and look at the verbiage in the game rules, but basically, $5 bet on pennies is going to play the same as a $5 bet on any other denom. So it's really just specific. It's not really specific to one or the other on that particular game. But good question to you, and best of luck. Thank you to our moderators. Bobby Earl, good to have you in here. Really appreciate that. Question here from SP. Is it more challenging to get a bonus on 10-cent denom versus dollar denom? The answer to this generally is no, but it can be game specific. There are some games out there where betting a higher denom might give you more options, more things available. It really just depends on the game, but generally speaking, no, the bonus frequency is going to be about the same regardless of the denomination. But good question, though. Craig says, what are your thoughts on playing any Wonder 4 slot machines? So anytime that you have a game like Wonder 4 or any machine that has multiple games, multiple windows that you can play, essentially what you're doing is you're playing 4 slot machines at once. That's all you're doing. Personally, I don't like it. I think that you can really kind of burn a budget too quickly on that and not really yield much of a reward. There's really not very many good games out there that are really good for like budget build up or that are super lucrative that come in a 4-game configuration. We can look at the new Huff and Puff that has the 4-screen option. It's not a very good bet. Same thing with most of those Buffaloes. So personally, to me, I don't like the Wonder 4 games. Some people like playing the multiple windows at once. They like playing the multiple games at once. It's entirely player preference, but honestly, to me, I don't think they're that rewarding. So great question. Right. Hey Brantley, in one of your videos, you said basically the casino you were at had great odds. I don't remember ever saying something like that. If slots are immutable, is the volatility in a casino that makes one casino better than another? So volatility doesn't change because volatility is not a setting, so that really doesn't have anything to do with where a machine is at. Um, Different jurisdictions can have different settings on them, of course, but uh, I don't ever recall saying that there was one casino that had great odds. They might have a good selection, but odds, no. Oh, this is actually a good question. Navi says, what is one thing casinos don't want you to know about slots? I'm assuming you are talking about you as the player. What's one thing a casino does not want the players to know about slots? That would probably be the biggest advantage the casino has over you is time. Um, a lot of times you will notice if you are in majority of casinos, especially if you happen to win a jackpot, or if it's like, let's say it's your first time at that property and you come in and you're winning a lot. they are going to do everything possible to get you to stay at that property. And they're going to make it sound to you like, hey, we can give you all these things. We can give you a spa day. We can give you, great meals. We can give you a really nice room. We can give you a stay for 3 days, because they know that you're going to play again. And the more you continue to play, the more advantage that the house actually has. So that's probably the biggest thing that casinos do not want players to know, is all of those benefits to entice you to stay are to their advantage, not yours. That would probably be the biggest thing. Other than that, everything else is pretty cut, dry, straightforward, and they would tell you the same. But that's actually a really good question. It's more of a psychological game than it is anything, especially for the casinos. Are slots on cruise ships harder to hit on? The answer is no. The reason why you hear so many times about people saying, man, I always lose all the time on slots, is, again, piggybacking on what we just said. Casinos and slot machines especially always have the advantage of time. The longer that you play any slot machine, even if it is a great game, even if it has the best RTP, the lowest volatility, whatever the case may be, it is still a slot machine at the end of the day. And it is designed to, over time, take in more money for the house and less money for the players. So what happens inevitably on cruise ships is people will stay there and they will play for a very, very long time. They'll spend entire sea days in there. And then at the end of 5 or 7 days, and they wonder why, well, I won the first day, but then I lost all the other days. Well, that's because you sat there and you continued to play. So the machines don't change on cruise ships. The odds don't change, anything, like nothing changes about the machine. The only thing that changes is now you're in there more often. That's the only factor that changes. And that is a house advantage. So that's why a lot of people seem like they lose on cruise ships. But the reality is the machines are no different. But that is a good question. Deb says, how come machines seem hot sometimes? First of all, Deb, I have to give you huge props for using quotations around the word hot and using the word seems. As slot players, as gamblers, we've all been there. There are times where it seems like the machine is just hitting, and then there's times where it just feels like the machine is ice cold and it's losing. That is 100% a feeling. That is not anything that is programmed to the device. The machine does not change. It does not alter. It does not care how much money was put into it previously. It does not care if it's been forever since a bonus hit. Every single spin on the machine is going to be a random independent result. It does not take into account previous times. You can get lucky and you can get multiple big wins in a row. That's part of randomness. It's nothing that the machine is programmed to do. It's nothing that the machine is altering or changing because more money's been put into it. But it is a possibility on any game, even the worst games. That's a possibility. Then it's also a possibility on the best games that you sit there and you don't get anything. That's kind of the point of slot machines, is every single time it's going to be a random independent result, and it could go one way or the other, and you could get back-to-back good results or bad results throughout your play session. So that's a good question. All right. And I do apologize if I'm taking a minute. There's a lot of questions in here. I'm trying to get through some that we haven't picked in a while. Deja Vu says, are casino slots better on Mondays from leftover weekend losses? No. That is 100% a myth. Again, there's nothing about the machine that changes, and the machine does not care how much money was put into it before. Biggest thing to realize and understand about slots is they're running a very, very long-term marathon. Slots are going to look at the whole picture of every single person who will ever play that device. So you could go in and you could, lose for weeks straight and think to yourself, well, my God, I never win here, all of that. And you could constantly lose. But eventually that one little period is just such a small window in the machine's lifetime that the machine doesn't care. It does not, again, and I can't stress this enough because this is a huge myth about slot machines. The machine does not take into account how much money was won or lost on it previously to determine the next result or the next spin. So going on a Monday after a weekend, after everybody's been there, playing all of the machines, it's not going to help you. You're going to have the same results anytime you go on a slot. But very good question. Really do appreciate it. All right. Right. Let's see. Valencia, I hope I said that name correctly. Does it really make a winning difference if you when you use your player's card or not? The answer to this is no. The player tracking system, which is what the player's card is not connected to the logic portion of the game device at all. It has zero effect on whether the machine is going to win or lose. It is 100% a superstition. And if you don't use your player's card, you're only hurting yourself. You're not bettering your chances. You're not changing any results. That player's card does not communicate with the game portion of the device at all. All you're doing is you're messing up your Theo for points. You're messing up your win loss report. You're messing up everything about the game. So about your personal, not the game, but your personal benefits that you get from the game. That's what you're messing up by not using a player's card. So just use your card. That's really the only thing that I can say about that. It doesn't affect the performance of the actual game. Let's see. Deb says, "What about slot machines with bingo cards? Do the cards make any difference? Cards really don't make any difference. The thing is with bingo devices, you know, it's going to pull the results randomly from the bingo server. So your cards, it's always going to be cycling through new cards. You know, you might only be able to see one at a time, but it could be cycling through multiple different cards. And you only just have one on your display. Some machines use multiple cards, others do not. But no, the cards really don't make a huge difference because you don't know what that result is going to be that it's going to pull from the bingo server. So honestly, if you're playing bingo based games, don't really focus on the card. It's not going to help you. You could sit there. I know some people like to change the card multiple times. That's not really doing anything because you don't know what the next ball pull is going to be. So I wouldn't really focus on the bingo cards too much with that. Rooster Slots says, "How does the casino make their money off of the slot? Do they have to reset the machines monthly for their profit?" There is no resetting of slot machines. That's one big thing that, again, it's a huge myth, and there's so many things out there that I've heard people say about resetting machines. It does not happen. The slot machines are designed to make money for the house over the long term aggregate. So what happens is when a casino brings in a slot machine and they set the like we'll use a basic example. Okay, we'll use a basic example of 98% RTP. That 98% means that over the entire course of the machine sitting on the floor, the casino is going to make 2% over the entire course of that machine sitting there, whether it sits there for 5 years, 10 years, whatever. They're going to make an average of 2% at the end of that, give or take some margin of error. It does not mean that you in your individual session or the last three players or anything like that is going to get 98% back. That's a huge misconception. But no, they know that the slots will make money for the house over time. There are times that the casino does lose money. That happens, but they know that they're playing a long-term game. They don't really care about the short term. They don't have to do anything to the machines, you know, weekly, monthly, annually, anything like that. So there is no resetting of slot machines. I know that's a huge myth. It's been out there for a very, very long time. But no, the casino does make a profit off of them. Trust me, they do. Pretty good profit, actually, especially when you take into account they could have 500,000 devices on their floor at any given time running. Yeah, they make a pretty good profit off of that. Is it better to play in the high limit room? Martha asks. The answer is no. The odds aren't going to be, and they're not going to be set any differently. Now, the only thing is, it is industry practice that the higher the denomination is, the better the RTP is. But again, and I can't stress this enough, the RTP is for that long term aggregate. So you could go up to a machine that's set at 99% and completely lose your ass for a week straight because that 99% is for the long term aggregate that machine is on the floor. That's why it is also very important not to get caught up in odds and RTP, because a lot of people do not understand. And again, I know I say this a lot, but I can't stress it enough. A lot of people do not understand that RTP is for the lifetime of the machine. It has nothing to do with you and your individual session. So, like I just said, you could play a machine that's set at 99%, and you could absolutely get wiped to lose your ass. Is it better to play in the high limit room? No. Honestly, the biggest thing that you need to watch for is monitoring your budget and what game is going to be appropriate for that budget. Don't go play in the high limit room just because you think the odds are better. That's kind of what I'm getting at with this whole story. Um, is it better? Are the machines any different? No, they're not going to be any different. Bonnie says, please tell me how I should play VLTs differently. So VLTs are a completely different ball game. The best way, the simplest term that I can knock a VLT machine, really knock it down to better understanding, is this. So when you play a slot machine, you are playing against the device. The device is, every time it is running, it is cycling through numbers, and when you push the button, then it stops a random number generator inside of itself, and it determines a result. VLT, for those of you that are unfamiliar out there, it stands for Virtual Lottery Terminal. Basically, what it is there is a virtual roll of scratcher tickets. The tickets are already in a sequential order. The machine already knows what's coming. The decision is not being made on the device. It's rather being made by some kind of a VLT server or something on the back end. So whether you win or lose is pretty much already decided in a nutshell. VLTs, you can still win great money off of them, but I equate it to, you go to the gas station and you buy a lottery ticket, or you buy a scratch off ticket. You hand the clerk the money, the clerk turns around, they pull a scratcher ticket and hand it to you, and then you scratch it to reveal a prize or not. Well, all of those tickets are already in the box. You could sit there and you could buy the whole box, and maybe you'd win out of it, maybe you wouldn't. But the prizes are already known, and the prizes are already tracked, and the VLT already knows exactly where all of the prizes are and when they're going to go, and so on and so forth, based on play. So VLTs, while they mimic slots a lot, they are far from an actual slot machine. So really, tell you how to play it differently is just watch your budget and treat it like a scratch off ticket. That's really about it. All right, let's see. Hey, we did have a super chat come in from Rhymetime UK, $25. Thank you very much. The super chats are greatly helpful to the channel, so I really do appreciate it. Wolf Run, do you have any ideas how hard the bonus is to get? And I noticed over here you said, you mean Wolf Peak. First of all, thank you very much for the super chat. Wolf Peak is a very, 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 very difficult bonus to get. The mathematical frequency, I don't have the exact number for you, but it is one of those games of play it for the line hits, play it for the sticky wilds, and maybe if you're lucky, you'll get a bonus. I really would not recommend pursuing the game just for the point of getting the bonus, because it is very, very difficult to get. And Adam says, you are on point. I see YouTube creators getting wrecked, and once in a while they hit big. Problem is they already lost a lot, but still good to watch. You're very much correct on that. Very much correct on that. They still get wrecked. Absolutely, they still do get wrecked. Okay. And again, guys, we got a lot of you in here tonight. I really do appreciate it, and a lot of questions. So greatly do appreciate that. Sorry, take a little drink there. All right, question about online slots from RGW3. Is an online slot the same as its physical cabinet counterpart? Bonuses seem to come more frequently in person. So, anytime we're talking about online slots, I always have to make the biggest distinction of make absolutely sure that you are referring to a legitimate online casino with online slot machines. Those are only available in about, I think now it's like 7 states. If it says sweepstakes, if it says sweeps coins, if it says something else, it is not a legitimate slot machine. That is a sweepstakes. It does not work or operate the same way. The only websites right now that are currently known as being, these are legitimate, they're real, they're online slot machines. We're talking places like FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, Caesars, those places. Those are legitimate. In order for those devices to be available online, they must, by law, mimic a physical device that is available in that jurisdiction. So, let's say you're playing FanDuel Casino in Michigan. We'll just say that you're playing a FanDuel Casino in Michigan, and you're playing, I don't know, Double Diamond. I'm just tossing a game out there. That Double Diamond machine is going to be set to the same standards or a little bit better than a Double Diamond machine that is at a casino there in Michigan in physical form. And it has to be that way. It has to be that way for the compact, for the agreement between the online vendor and the gaming commission. So they are going to mimic and play the same, pretty much as their physical counterpart. But again, and I can't stress this enough, please do remember that we are referring here to only the legitimate, actual, real online slot machines, which are not available in most places in the United States. There's only about, like I said, 6 or 7 states, might be a little bit more now, where those are actually legitimate. So good question. All right. And again, we got a ton of questions in here, guys, so I really do apologize. We'll try to get through as many as we possibly can. All right. David says, "Are Native American casinos worse to play slots than say Vegas?" This is a very, very common and very, very wrong myth. Guys, tribal gaming has higher regulations and higher standards than non-tribal gaming does. I always give the example of this. Plus, before I get into that example, tribal casinos oftentimes they are a lot more impacted by competition than bigger corporate casinos are, especially if they're in an area with other tribes and stuff like that. So they compete very, very heavily for your business. And a lot of times those machines are going to they're going to perform better than most other non-tribal casinos are. But going back to my example, if I wanted to start a casino and I wanted to open a casino in Nevada, all I have is buy the building, buy the machines, get the license, and I'm done. That's it. That's all you need. But if I was a tribe and I had to do it, I would have to go through the federal government, go through a very, very long, lengthy process. There's more audits. You have to have a compact with your state if you're operating class 3. Class 2 even has stricter audits. So the notion and the concept that tribal casinos are worse is incredibly wrong. It is incredibly false. So um anytime that you hear anybody out there say, tribal casinos can do anything they want to, it's actually the opposite. Trust me, casinos in Nevada can get away with way more than casinos can on a tribal reservation, because those reservations are watched a lot more closely and they have higher audits and higher standards than a non-tribal casino does. So, very good question, but no, they're not worse by any means. All right. And Solid Wolf says, "What are your thoughts about Advantage Play slot machines?" So here's the thing about Advantage Play slots. There are some out there that do exist. I will say this: there's been a lot of there has not been any changes yet, but a lot of gaming commissions are starting to raise alarm bells, and a lot of casinos out there are starting to get very frustrated and fed up with Advantage Play on slots. So Advantage Play on slots probably the best example is a must hit by Progressive. So a must hit by Progressive, you see it is clearly labeled, and that is one big thing about Advantage Play slots is the advantage must be labeled very clearly, or it has to be stated in the game rules somewhere. You have to know that there is an advantage, that there is an advantage time to play it. must hit by progressives are the best example. It will have a number on there that is like 9,000 it starts, it must hit before 10. Well, if you see that it's at 9,900, you know it's $100 away from hitting. That would be an advantage because you know that it must hit by that. The problem is, kind of going back to this, is a lot of gaming commissions and a lot of casinos are actually getting fed up with it. WinStar is a great example. So WinStar has a lot of the Ainsworth must hit by progressive slots. There's a lot of folks out there that they have like Facebook groups, and they have like people that go and they check to see when the progressives are, and then they just like all come in and hit it. And the casino is pretty much fed up with it. And now what we're seeing is a lot of the games, and you might start seeing a lot more of them coming out, but some of the games like Thunder Cash, Mustang Money, and stuff like that, they're starting to take away those progressives now because people have just ruined it. Obviously, somebody's always got to ruin it for everybody, but even gaming commissions are starting to get in on it now and saying, we're probably in the next couple of years going to see a lot of those features go away. So stuff like the must hits and stuff like that, that dynamic I could definitely see within the next 5 to 10 years either changing or going away entirely because so many people have ruined it. What are my thoughts on it? They're good games to play. They are obviously there is an advantage to playing games like that. But don't be rude, don't be an asshole, don't ruin it for everybody else. But it sounds like, pretty much a big group of folks out there have already ruined it for everybody else because it's being talked about now to start doing away with features like that and doing away with those. But very good question. All right. Just checking here. Nikki says, are bonuses predetermined as to what you'll get, like the number of games, bonus picks, etc.? In general, yes. Bonuses are mostly bonus picks are predetermined. So the pick bonuses that you get, free spins are not predetermined. So if you get something that is free spins or a hold and spin like Dragon Link or anything like that, those are not predetermined. The only part of bonuses that are predetermined are the pick styles. So like when you have to like pick to match 3 coins for a grand or a minor or major or whatever, when you're picking something, that pick is normally predetermined. There's a couple exceptions to that out there. Clio 2 is one of those. When you pick the 3 boxes, that one is not predetermined. Pharaoh's Fortune, where you have to turn over all the stones, that is not predetermined. You can pick the wrong ones on those. But in general, the only part about bonuses that are predetermined is when you're picking 3 or more coins to match something for a progressive prize. So, okay. Again, a lot of you guys in here with questions, so really do appreciate it. I'm trying to catch up on some, so I'm trying to go back through and make sure that. Oh, this is a good question right here. Ricardo, why do higher denoms have less lines? That is a great question. If you guys have ever noticed this, you might sit down to like a Dragon Link game and you're on penny level and it says 50 lines. And then you go to 10 cent and it says 25 lines. And then you go to $1 and it says 5 lines. Why is that? Well, a lot of that has to do with 2 factors. The first factor being is the credit amounts based on the lines. So like let's say if you have a 50 line game, so let's say, Dragon Link, for example. Let's just say Autumn Moon. We'll use Autumn Moon for that. Autumn Moon, 50 cent, or on 1 cent you have 50 lines. If you were to maintain 50 lines through all the denominations, then when you got to dollar level, the minimum bet would have to be $50. If you got to $2 level, the minimum bet would have to be $100. A lot of people are not going to play that. And then as you start to increase, could you imagine, if you go to a times 10 multiplier, you're looking at thousands and thousands of dollars to spend for even on $1 or $2 level. So the problem with that is, number one, people aren't going to play it. Number two, the liabilities. So casinos also have to look at liability. How big is the prize going to be if they have to pay it out? So a lot of times casinos will restrict the number of lines that are available on a game just simply because of, hey, if somebody hits this, it's going to be a big amount. We're not going to be able to continue to pay out all of these big giant amounts, so they'll restrict the number of lines. So that's two main reasons why. When you go to certain slot machines and you increase the denomination, the number of lines reduce, is for those two main reasons. But that is a good question. All right, question here. Does the RNG change when you change the denom or bet size? Or is the RNG just running in the background regardless of the bet and denom, and it's all based on timing and the pay algorithm? So long question, but the RNG is always running no matter what. So the minute the machine is plugged in and has power and turned on, the RNG is constantly running, and there's only one RNG for the whole machine. The second you hit the button is when the RNG determines a stop. It pulls those random numbers and it determines the stop from there. Um, so it is 100% based on when you initiate the spin. As soon as you initiate the spin, that's when it determines what the result is going to be. So as soon as you initiate the spin, it determines the result. Pay algorithm, there's not really a pay algorithm. Maybe you're referring to like the virtual pay table, but that is essentially the RNG in a nutshell. It's always running no matter what. Dallas says, "Do you believe in the 5 spin rule on a slot machine? Every single spin on a slot machine is going to be a random independent result. There is absolutely nothing about a machine. There's nothing programmed into a machine that says every 5 spins do this, every 10 spins do this, anything like that. Every single spin is going to be a random independent result. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you can walk up to a machine, do 1 spin, and hit the biggest jackpot of your life. The machine does not differentiate between players or anything like that. So, you might think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, this is my 5th spin, but in the reality, the machine doesn't give a shit. It's done a million spins. It's done 2, 3, 4 million spins by that point. The machine doesn't know or differentiate between players or what is a 5th spin or anything like that. So, I mean, really, if you want to do 5 spins, you can. It's not going to do anything to the machine. It's not going to change anything about the machine. But there's no such thing as any kind of like a 5 spin thing for slot machines. But very good question. All right. And Renee says, do you have a better chance of hitting a major when the major is maxed out or close to being maxed out? Or is the chance of hitting the major the same as if it was just hit or maxed out? This is a very good question. Thank you for asking this, Renee, because the thing is it trips up a lot of people. A maxed out major is not a must hit by Progressive. It is more lucrative to play because you want to get the biggest amount as a player. You want to get the biggest amount. So if you see that it's maxed out, I mean, it's beneficial for you to play that because if you happen to get it, you're going to get a larger amount. But the odds of hitting it do not change at all. And that actually, the Progressive is still adding in the background. That maxed out point is just the cap, but it is still recording additional measurements and income towards the next Progressive in the background. So a lot of people get tripped up thinking that there's a better chance to hit the Progressive because it is maxed out. There's not a better chance. It's just more beneficial to you. If you have a choice of machines and one of them happens to have a maxed out major, of course you want to play the one that's maxed out because you want to get the most if you happen to hit it. But your chances are no different. And the machine does not alter its play or anything like that just because a Progressive is maxed out. So that is a very good question because I know that trips up a lot of people. So thank you very much for asking that, Renee. Are you a fan of buying a bonus? I will answer this question. Thank you so much for that. First, we do have a full episode where I broke down how the buy a bonus feature works in the YouTube video library. If you would like to go see that, it is in there. But in a nutshell, how the buy a bonus feature works: every single slot machine that has a bonus, it has an average mathematical payout for what the average bonus pays. So we can look at, for example, pinball, the game of pinball. Everybody loves pinball. The average pinball bonus is 85 credits. That is the average. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, but the average, it pays out about 85 credits. When you buy a bonus, any machine that has a buy a bonus feature, there is a premium added on to the average for the cost of it. So let's say if you buy a bonus for $750, that tells me right there that that bonus on average probably pays $300 to $400. You're paying an extra amount and hoping that now you have to exceed that average to break even, which is very difficult to do. So most cases when you buy a bonus, you're going to come out on the losing end, which is why I do not recommend it. Sometimes you can get lucky and you can just really hit it out of the park and you can get a great bonus, but it is very rare because now not only do you have to meet the average, but now you have to exceed the average to account for the cost that you bought the bonus for, and really hope that you exceed the average to make a profit. So is buy a bonus worth it? Absolutely not. It's a fun thing to do if you've got extra money to blow, but just know you're probably going to come out on the losing end of it. It's not really something that I recommend doing. Very good question. James says, are machines programmed to tease you? Here, this question right here, James, is actually one that the answer used to be no. But today the answer is actually yes. And I will tell you how it is done. So when you push the button to initiate your spin, you push the button to initiate your spin. The second you initiate your spin, the machine already knows if it is a winner or if it is a loser. What used to be the case is it had to pull something exact from the pay table if it was a loser to show in the window or to show on the reels or to show the player, this is what the RNG picked. But laws have changed since then. Gaming has changed. Machines have gotten more advanced. Now, if you push the button and the RNG determines that the spin result is going to be a loser, the machine already knows it's going to be a loser. It can show you, like, let's say it can show you like a big multiplier or something like that. Or it can do, we'll just use Buffalo, for example. The first coin drops, the second coin drops, and then it does that little teasing music, like it's going to give you that third coin. The machine already knows it's not going to give it to you. So as long as the RNG has already determined that the result of the spin is a loss, the machine can show whatever it wants to. Whether it was going to show that or not, it can show you a little tease, like, you get 2 of the 3 bonus symbols, or Dragon Link, for example, you sure get 5 a lot. That's a reason. It can show you 5. Whether that was the outcome or not, it can show that to you to kind of entice you to continue to play. So yes, the machines, it's not, I wouldn't say it does it intentionally all the time, but it can be done. And again, as long as the RNG has already determined the result to be a loser, it is allowed to do that. So very good question on that. Luigi says, is it true by maximizing the volume on a slot machine, you'll have a better chance of winning? So the answer to this, of course, is going to be no. But I want to reiterate the reason why I picked this question. I know it's kind of been asked a lot. Which, by the way, backstory to this, it was started as a joke, guys. It was started as a joke, kind of, within content creators and stuff. The reason why content creators turn the volume up is not to get better odds. It's to drown out the background music for posting the video on YouTube. That's the real reason why. But of course, creators joke about it. And then eventually people ran with it thinking that it was true. It is not true. But the reason why I wanted to pull this question up is to just remind everybody out there the fact that there is absolutely nothing that you can do to manipulate a slot machine in any way. That includes fast stopping. That includes pulling your card out. That includes turning the volume up, tapping on the screen, anything like that. The result you get is the result you're going to get. Doing anything on your part other than watching your own budget is not going to affect anything else about the game. So just always do remember that, because that is a really key critical element point to always remember. Non-slot related question, but I think it's kind of fun. So thank you, David, for asking. What is your favorite number to play on roulette? I have two. My favorite numbers are 17 and 20. Those are my favorite roulette numbers. Usually, if I'm playing roulette, I always play really heavy on 17 and 20. Just my favorites. Montana asks, when you get a bonus on Dragon Link, is the ball bonus predetermined or does it matter when you press the button? Good question. The ball bonus is not predetermined. It is not. Whenever you are going through, you push the button. What essentially happens with all hold and spin games, where you have to collect 15 orbs to, complete the screen. Instead of having 5 reels at that point, when you enter that bonus, now you have 15 reels. Each of those squares is going to operate independently of each other. It is very difficult to collect all 15 orbs, but it is not predetermined. So you can get a different result. You can get a different result every time that you push the button. So good question on that. What do you think of people charging for winning at slots? This is something that this actually kind of goes back to the original creation of Cowboy Slots. Guys, all of this information, the factual, true information, is already available to you guys. You should not have to pay for. You should never pay somebody to teach you about slots or try to get an advantage of slots. That to me, honestly, that borderlines on a scam, because guys, anybody can go play slot machines, and you have to know, if you get the basics down of, like what we teach here on the channel, the basics. Watch your budget, pick a machine that's right for your budget, take time to evaluate your budget, stuff like that. You can be successful at slots. Paying somebody for any other information is not a good idea. And honestly, it should, I would hope that it would raise some alarm bells in your mind if somebody's like, hey, I have all the secrets to this. If you just pay me $9.95 or whatever the cost is, I'll tell you. That's a big dead giveaway. So just always do keep that in mind. Guys, you really should not pay for slot information. You shouldn't. I mean, if you guys want to donate here, that's fine. You can, but I'm not charging anybody for slot information. That's not, no, it's not cool. It's just not cool. All right. And again, I apologize. We got a lot of questions. We got over 500 people in the show right now, so thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it, guys. Do me a favor if you're out there watching, especially if you're watching on Facebook. I know we got a lot of you folks out there watching on Facebook. Be sure to come over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. It is free to do. It's free. Hitting the subscribe button is the same thing as following somebody on Facebook. So hit that subscribe button for me and hit that like button, all of which are of course free to do. Building on our last question there. All right. Let's see. And again, we got a bunch of questions in here. I apologize. I'm trying to look for some new questions that we haven't answered in quite some time. I know we got a lot of new folks in here too. So Jay says, does the time or day affect how the machine pays out? Because I've noticed I do better during the day versus the night. No, the machine doesn't care what time of day it is. It doesn't care about the day or the time or the event or anything like that. The machine is going to perform exactly the same. Typically, and again, gambling is very psychological. Most of the time, what ends up happening is, what time do you normally go to the casino? Well, if you normally go like after work on a Friday and you always lose, and then one day you're like, oh, hey, I have a Monday off or something. I'm going to go with some friends on a Monday, and you just so happen to win. The human mind is naturally in a state where it's going to try to connect the dots in some way, shape, or form. So your mind is going to go, it must be the time of day, or it must be the day of the week. It's not true. You just happen to get lucky that day. But That's the biggest thing about that. So no, slot machines don't perform any differently based on time or day or anything like that. Hey, $50 super chat from Rhyme Time UK. Thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate it. The super chats and super stickers are greatly helpful to the channel. So I really appreciate you guys for doing that. $500 Diamond Queen spin. Wow. $1,000 pinball spin, $1,000 top dollar spin, $100,000 bankroll. What do you do? Thank you, Brantley. Just curious. Well, again, thank you so much for your super chat. I think if I had $100,000 bankroll, I would probably do a little bit of mix of both of those. Diamond Queen can be pretty difficult. It's not the hardest bonus to get, believe it or not. I mean, it's a difficult bonus to get. It's definitely on the higher end of volatility, but Diamond Queen is not impossible by any means, and the bonus can be very, very good. So Diamond Queen would probably be on my list if I had a budget like that. Um, Pinball, I like pinball more than I do top dollar. The reason is top dollar you can get the bonus and get screwed. Pinball, you know you're getting 5 shots. Even if you get 5 of the lowest shots, it's still better than the worst offer on top dollar. So I would choose pinball over top dollar on that. Top dollar, you get the bonus a little bit more frequently, but the problem is again, you can get screwed on that top dollar bonus. You can go all the way to the end and get 5 credits, and you just can't do that on pinball. So I'd take pinball over that anyway. But thank you again very much. I appreciate that. Andrea says, Vegas Matt bankrolls on Baccarat from time to time. Do you recommend trying that? Baccarat is a fun game, and it's pretty much a 50-50. You're either going to, either banker's going to win or player's going to win. Occasionally, you might tie. It's a pretty easy game to understand. All you have to do is get as close to 9 as possible. And whoever has as close to 9 as possible without going over usually ends up winning. Now, why do people play banker more than they do player? Well, the reason is the rules are actually a little bit different for banker. Banker actually does have a slight advantage over player. So usually, if you're playing banker, you'll usually have to pay what's called commission. Sometimes there are no commission tables, but the reason why you have to pay commission usually out of a banker hand if you're playing banker as opposed to a player hand is because the banker has a slight advantage. Slight advantage being like there's certain times where the banker can and they can draw a card to improve their hand, or the player is forced to draw a card to try to reduce. So that's why banker is usually the better bet in Baccarat to play, just because the rules are a little bit different, but you do have that commission. And the commission is on there because the rules are a little bit different for banker than it is for player. Would I recommend it? Get familiar with the game first. Don't go crazy with it. Play a couple hands. Baccarat is getting a little more popular. Thanks to Vegas Matt, of course, for playing Baccarat. But it's actually a pretty cool game. Baccarat is a pretty cool game. Typically, it's usually only higher limits, but it is a pretty cool game. If you try it, get familiar with the game and try some low bets first on that. And good luck to you. All right. Why do casinos allow button slappers? Your question is as good as mine. I do not know. I do not know why for the life of me they do. I wish this is an open call to all casinos. If you are a casino manager and you are out there watching, please, for the love of God, stop the button slappers. Nobody likes the button slappers. I don't understand why people still do it. I don't. It's not, you're not getting any different outcome by doing it. You're just annoying to everybody else in the casino, and you're damaging the machine. There's a lot of buttons that are broken on machines, or buttons that are stuck because people slam them. I don't understand why they do that, but casinos really should honestly start putting a stop to it. They really should. Yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. Your guess is as good as mine on that one. All right. And again, guys, I apologize if I pause for a minute here. You guys got a lot of good questions. I'm going through a long list of them, and when I look at the questions, they all just kind of pile in and chuck in at once. So we got questions coming in from YouTube, from Facebook, everywhere. So I appreciate your patience and bearing with me, guys. All right. Hey, Lucky Jules is in here. Thank you so much, Lucky Jules. Apologize on missing the world launch party yesterday. Can't wait to see your videos. Well, the game is there, so please do go play it, and you'll have to let me know what you think. Do a video of it. Our video from Pinball Grand is probably going to come out second week of April. We're pretty backlogged with. We're actually running ahead on the production schedule right now, so we've got a lot of videos in the line. Actually, we're pretty much good now through May. So we have a lot of videos that are kind of backed up and waiting in the queue, but the Pinball Grand video will probably come out second week of April, so be watching for that. It is available now at the Wendover Nugget, so you can go play it, and I hope you do, and you'll have to let me know what you think of it. Deb says, "Will a machine pay out big if it's at the end of its life, like a slot machine is going to be taken out?" No, the slot machine is going to perform the same over the entire course of its life, whether it's the beginning or the end. So the math on slot machines is based on a mathematical principle, and you guys actually, I encourage you, if you like to do research or if you like to, kind of nerd out or go down the rabbit hole a little bit, I encourage you to go look this up. But the mathematical principle that a slot machine runs off of is called the law of large numbers. So the law of large numbers basically states that when you have so many different numbers and so many different options, the more data you collect, eventually the more those numbers accumulate, there is an average that it comes out to. Over time, it's going to have its highs, it's going to have its lows, but because the amount of numbers is so vast, because the amount of players are so vast, because the amount of outcomes is so vast, there is a mathematical average point, and that is what the theoretical average is. That is what the RTP is. So the casino knows that over the entire course of that machine's life, if they set a machine at, say, 97.8%, that over millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of spins, it'll average out to 98.7%. It might have times where it's just, booming and paying out like crazy. It might have times where just for months straight, it's just dead. But overall, it'll average out. And the machine does not know when its end of life is. I mean, hell, these machines back here were made in the early 2000s, and they're still here. That RNG is still running. So some machines are much older than that. But no, the machine's not gonna change or adapt or anything like that just because it's getting close to being taken out. But very good question. Okay. Raven says, "Can you ask for another host? I play more slots than ever. Spend more and barely get any comps. Used to be good, now it sucks. I want another host." You absolutely can ask for another host, but a lot of times it's not really the host's fault. Sometimes there's orders that come down from, the higher ups that, offers change a lot. And some casinos base offers differently. Some casinos base offers based on time, the amount that you visit. So if you're going to a property more, you'll actually notice this too. If you start going to a casino more frequently, you will actually get less offers. If you start winning a lot more, you'll get less offers. Um, if there's a bunch of factors that go into that. Also, seasonal. So, for example, in Vegas right now, getting close to end of March, early April, it's busy in Vegas. It's harder to get rooms. Comps are not going to be as lucrative, but come back in July or August, comps will go up. So it really just depends. But if you do feel like it's your host, or even if you just don't like your host, you can always ask for another host. Of course you can. Brad asks, "What do you think about backup spins? Are they lucky?" Good question, Brad. So we do this a lot on the channel. Most channels do. We always talk about backup spins. There is nothing mechanically different or technical about a backup spin. You do not have to do one, but there's two reasons why a lot of people like to do backup spins, myself included. Number one, you just want a whole bunch of money. Why not spin it off? You might get another one, you might get lucky. It has nothing to do with the machine being hot, but if you just want a big win, of course, spin it off. The second being is just common courtesy. You don't want to leave a big bonus on the screen or something like that, because it can sometimes, there's a lot of superstition out there and it can deter people from playing the game. That's why there's some casinos out there that will make you do a spin off. They'll say, hey, can you spin it off for me? Because they know that it would deter somebody else from sitting and playing that game, and they want butts in the chairs. They want people to keep sitting there and playing. So it's common courtesy. But there's nothing technical or different about a backup spin. It's all the same. Every spin is a random independent result, but we like to do them. We like to do them. If you just want a whole bunch, why not? There's no harm in doing one more spin. Switching machines per profit win. Thoughts? So switching machines per profit win. You can. It's entirely your preference. There's no technical reasoning behind it, but I mean, if you feel like you want to switch a machine, you absolutely can. um Again, machines do not run hot and cold cycles like people think that they do. It can feel like it sometimes, but there's nothing technical or nothing programmed about that. But if you feel like you want to switch machines, you absolutely can. There's nothing wrong with that. There's just nothing technical behind it. And low budget, high limit slots says just bent another key chip trying to get it in. Any recommendations for a chip puller? There's a lot of different chip pullers out there. There's some that are you can usually get them on Amazon. Look them up on Amazon or eBay. I don't have a particular name brand in stock or in mind that I can think of. I've used a couple different ones. Sometimes if I didn't have a chip puller, I'd just use a flathead screwdriver and just you pop up a little bit on each side, just barely a little bit, and then you have to be really gentle. But yeah, you do have to be gentle with those EEPROM chips because those do break. You can also, there is a little thing that you can get. Check with Mark and see if he has any. He might have some, but it's little prong adapters that you can put on the EEPROM chip. So basically, if you bend one or break one, it's just breaking the adapter and not the chip itself. So those are also out there as well. But as for recommendations for chip puller, I don't have any name brand off the top of my head. I apologize for that. All right. So Eric says, and this is a pretty common question: does the rhythm of button press affect winning possibilities? So here's the thing: you hear this a lot in the slot world, and it's probably, it's the one thing that people that like to fast stop the game, they always say this. Well, it changes your timing. Is that true? To some extent. Do you know how fast a microprocessor works? In the time that you lifted your hand off the button and put it back down again, even if you're doing a slapping motion, it's already made a million calculations. What timing are you changing? You're not moving faster than the microprocessor is. Are you getting a different result? Yeah, you are. Is it a better result? You don't know that. You don't know if it's better or worse. So why bother doing it? You don't know if it's better. You don't know if it's worse. You don't know. Um, there's no, does it change the rhythm? It changes your rhythm. Um, I always recommend to people, slow down rather than speed up. Slow down. Speeding up is not going to make the machine give you better results. It's not. Fast stopping is not going to give you better results. Um, but slowing down, what is that going to do? That's also not going to give you better results or worse results or anything, but it's going to give you time to sit there and think about your budget, where you're at, all of that. A lot of times, if you start fast stopping the game, you look up for 2 seconds and you've already passed your stopping point, or you've already passed your evaluation point, or something like that. So slowing down and really just enjoy the game. I don't know why I guess it's just society today. Everybody's just in such a hellfire hurry that they just want to get through everything. S- Slow down. Slow down. Just enjoy the game. You're paying for the game, so slow down and enjoy the game and watch your budget, because that's going to be the most important part. um but yeah, that does it change your rhythm? I mean, I guess you could say that. Does it do you any good? Absolutely not. But I mean, if it helps you sleep at night, you could, you could say it changes your rhythm. Good question. I appreciate it, Eric. All right. Todd says, "Have you ever met Lady Luck?" I have. She's very sweet. Her and her husband, they're great people. Matt R says, "Why do casinos move machines around?" Casinos usually move machines around quite a bit. It's usually for solely for marketing. That's it. To accommodate new games. There's a lot of factors that people don't see. Machines. First of all, it is a very, very old, old, old myth, and it is a myth. It is not fact. It is a myth. Um, you'll hear this a lot from you know way back in the day that casinos put better paying machines by the front entrances and aisles and stuff like that. That is false. That is 100% a myth. The machines are mostly moved around for a lot of reasons people don't see, mostly for marketing and to accommodate new games. So the casino wants the new games usually highlighted where people can see. So, like if there's a brand new game that's just coming out, they're going to try to put it in the front or the center or somewhere where it's really attractive that people can see, oh, this property has this game that I've been looking for. It's mostly due to marketing. There's some other factors people normally don't see. Ceiling height is one. Machines are getting taller. There's a lot of areas that, especially older casinos out there, that might have shorter ceilings. Some of these new games, like we can look at, like Willy Wonka, Dreamer of Dreams, or like the Ultimate Firelink Explosion now, that are these huge, giant games. Usually they have to put those in an area with a higher ceiling because of the clearance level on them. And in order to do that, they usually have to move around a whole bunch. They have to start playing Tetris with a bunch of banks of machines. So that's usually why. So yeah, that's pretty much the only reason, is marketing and stuff like that. Has nothing to do with odds or anything. And Dan says, I believed in all the myths until I started watching your channel from day one. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Oh, this is a common question. And it's actually a really good question. Ways or lines, which would you say is better? Um, so there's benefits to both. There's pros and cons on both sides when referring to lines or ways. So, really quickly, because some folks out there have asked this, what is the definition of both of those? So, a ways based game basically means that the symbols do not have to fall in any particular order. As long as they are on adjacent reels on the screen, three or more, it pays. So you might have like one here, one here, one here. They don't have to be in any specific order. That's what a ways based game is. A lines based game is they do have to fall in a sequential order. So, like straight across the middle, straight across the top, in a V formation, something like that. Um, there's benefits to both. So, with ways based games, you're going to get more consistency. You're going to get a lot more of those smaller hits. You're going to notice like little itty bitty baby hits out of that. So when you're playing a ways based game, like let's say you're betting $5 a spin, it's like every other spin you might get like 20 cents or 50 cents or something like that. So you're going to get a lot more frequent. The benefit to lines is you're going to get a lot more equalization and pay. They're not going to be as frequent, but what's going to happen is you're going to get usually higher payout amounts. So let's say a ways based game, you get three cherries. We'll just use cherries as an example. I'm not quoting any particular game, and this is just an example. Let's say on a ways based game, you get three cherries, you're betting $5, it might pay you 30 cents. If you're on a lines based game and you get three cherries and you're betting $5, it might pay you $4. So there's that. So there's benefits to both. It really depends on player preference, what you want. Do you want more frequency but lesser payouts, or do you want less frequency but more payouts? That's kind of the biggest difference between line and ways. But very good question. All right. Kind of going on the lines based. Seattle Susie Q says, "What is the best for your?" Or I can't talk tonight. What is better for your bankroll? 5 line or 9 line? It would really depend on the game on this. But if we're talking just a generality, if you're trying to bankroll build, both of those are good options. Honestly, both of those are good options for bankroll building. Depending on the game, 9 line might be better, but 5 line is also a really good contender. Both of those are very, very good. So I really can't narrow it down much for you on that, but those are both good options on that. All right, Maria says, can you tell me the slots that are 10 spins and the 10th spin turns wild? With the first spin, is the game determined? So we're referring to the game that you're referring to is called Scarab. So on the game of Scarab, it has a counter on it, and on the 10th game that it plays, the beetles that you have collected on games 1 through 9 turn into wilds. That is clearly labeled on the game. It even shows you you're on game 9 of 10 or 8 of 10 or whatever in the corner. It is not predetermined or anything like that upon the initial start of the game. The wilds can accumulate at any time. The accumulation rate is pretty even keel throughout those. Sometimes you get a lot, sometimes you get a little. I like the game. Scarab is a fun game. Wouldn't really use it for bankroll building or anything like that, but it's good. It's a fun one to kill time on. But to answer your question, is it predetermined based on the first spin? The answer is no. All right. Jeff says, do you know if different property owners can change the odds of slots to their liking? In other words, tighten them up much more than others. Thanks from Missouri. So this is a very, very common question that a lot of people have and a lot of people ask, and a lot of people feel like this is true. But what a lot of people don't realize is in the gaming industry. So in order to change the odds on a slot machine, you need to have the E key to do it. The E key, it's like a little USB key, or it is a special EEPROM chip or something like that that goes in the machine. Those keys cannot be duplicated. They cannot be replicated. The older keys can, but not the newer ones. The newer ones, they cannot be duplicated or replicated in any way. Those are not kept on property. Those are kept at the gaming commission office, or they're kept with the gaming office. So if they are, like a lot of casinos, some casinos like they have, they have their compliance office and stuff. Most casinos will have a compliance office on site, but that person that is usually over compliance a lot of times is not associated with the casino. Sometimes they're employed by the commission, sometimes they're employed by the tribe. It really just depends. You cannot just walk into the office and say, hey, I need to get the E key for this game because I need to change this. They will not give it to you. You have to fill out the forms. They have to come out. They have to be there when you change it. They have to record that. There's a huge, long process to doing it. It is not a free for all. The casino manager cannot just go in and say, I'm going to change the odds, nor can the casino owner or anything like that. Part of their licensing is that key has to be kept within the confines of whoever the compliance office is. So can they change it? No, they cannot. Not without that. But those keys are kept. Those keys are kept under lock and key. And there's a whole bunch of other security measures that go into place on that. But hey, you know what? It's a common question. Common question with a not so simple answer. There's actually a lot that goes into it. But the simplest answer is no. They cannot just change it. Very true. Machines are set it and forget it. Pretty much. Yep, that is correct. Set it and forget it. The machine's going to make money over time, no matter what. So the casino does not need to mess with it. All right, let's see. And we'll answer a couple more questions and then we'll go ahead and we'll round out the show. Really do appreciate you guys coming in. So if you do have any last minute questions, go ahead and start lining those up. And again, I do like to do these kind of at the end of the month. So if I can fit them in towards the end of the month, I will try to do a live Q&A session. As a reminder, though, which, by the way, guys, I don't know why more people don't use this. Well, actually, a lot of people use it, but more people should. Our website, ropethejackpot.com. Not only is there a free chat forum for you guys to use, it's free to sign up. Even if you have another slot channel, you can actually sign up and you can advertise your channel and stuff on there if you want to. There's a spot for that. It is 100% free to use. It's basically like it's like a Discord, only it's a little bit better because you get to kind of create your own little profile and you can talk to other people in your state and other states. If you're going on vacation, if you're looking for a particular machine, there's so much you can do in that chat forum. There's a bunch of other resources on there. So if I did not answer your question tonight, ask it on the forums, the website, ropethejackpot.com, because there is so much on there. So there's resources that you can use on there every single day. I recommend bookmarking the website too. Bookmark it, and then anytime you have a question, just put it on the forums. Or if you're getting ready to travel out somewhere, let's say you're going to Vegas and you're looking for a particular machine, go to the Nevada forum and say, "Hey, I'm looking for this particular machine. What casino has it?" It'll light up with a whole bunch of people that are actually there that can go in and answer your question and tell you exactly where it's at right then and there. All right. Navi says, does each denom act differently? Not sure if you answered my past question, 101 cent versus 52 cents. So, does each denom act differently? Yes, they do. The slot machine is programmed based on the denomination. So each of the denominations is going to perform separate and independent of each other. So what you do on one denomination has no effect on any other denominations or anything like that. So like let's say if you're on let's say you're on 25-cent denom and you're just winning and winning and winning and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to switch it to a dollar denom because this machine is hot." Well, when you switch the denom, it's basically like switching to a different slot machine. It's going to perform and act. It's going to act differently and independent for each of those denom levels. So they are programmed independently on that. Past question 101 cent or 52 cents really that would have everything to do with the type of game. If there's a benefit to playing more or less or different denom or a different bet level, that is pretty game specific on that. Adventures of TCI says, "Congratulations on so many subscribers. That's great. Well, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You guys are awesome. And again, it's 100% free to subscribe. It's just like following someone on Facebook. So hit that subscribe button. We appreciate the support. Hit that like button. We do a lot on the channel too. Every single Sunday, we do something new and different. Tomorrow's episode is going to be on Panda Magic. Panda Magic is tomorrow's episode. And then we have something really cool we're planning for April. Every single Sunday in April is going to be pretty cool and unique. So stick around for that first stream in April as well. Bob says, have you played Kong Skull Island? If so, any thoughts? Thanks. I have not played it yet, but the Wendover Nugget just installed it. Actually, they just turned it on when I was there yesterday. So yesterday, or was it the day before? But they just got it. They just turned it on. We're gonna do a video on it. We're gonna break it down for you guys. So watch for that coming up in the near future on that. Probably will be in May because again we're pretty we're actually pretty backed on content right now, pretty much through the entire month of April going on. So probably watch for that in May unless we do something kind of cool and push it to the front or something like that. But we will play it, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it in that one. James Lee Green says, thoughts on Black Diamond versus Double Diamond. Double Diamond is going to be a lot more. Double Diamond is going to be lower in volatility. Both of them are good games, but if you're trying to bankroll build or make your time last in the casino, Double Diamond over Black Diamond for sure. Black Diamond has a little more potential though for some bigger prizes and bigger payouts, so it's really kind of your preference. Kind of dealer's choice on that one. If you want to stay at the casino a little bit longer, you want to try to build up your points, or if you want something a little bit more lucrative, you can go to the Black Diamond. But both of them are good games. Nothing really negative about either one of those. JW says, so time of day doesn't make a difference machine wise, but what about the volume and use on machines? So after a busy weekend day, still doesn't matter. It does not matter. Again, the machines, it doesn't take into account how much money has been cycled into it or anything like that. Every single spin from its first spin to its last is going to be the independent result, same chances. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in terms of that. Jeff says we're going to Yellowstone this year and driving. We're going to come out to the casinos in Wyoming you play. I hope to meet you. Well, keep posting on our website. Again, guys, on our website we have, which again is right here. The website updates with all of our travel pretty much instantaneously. So if you're wanting to know when are we going to be at the Nugget next, when are we going to be at Shoshone Rose next, when are we going to be in Vegas next, where are we going next, it's on the website usually before I have any time to say anything about it. So always check the website. It's right on there on the front page, guys. You can't miss it. So keep up to date on that. Diane says, what is HHR? HHR is historical horse racing. So these are games that they look like slot machines, they act like slot machines, but rather than a random number generator, it is pulling from historical horse race data, and the prizes are shared amongst the players. So you're competing for a prize pool. It's a lot like Class 2, only instead of a bingo server, you're running off of historic horse races. That's what HHR is. HHR has a lot of great potential. Usually you can win bigger amounts at a lesser bet as compared to slot machines, which that's kind of the case with bingo games as well, but more so with HHR. So some pretty good potential in that. We do have some videos in the library from HHR games in the past. They're kind of older videos, so you might have to look for them in there, but they are in there. All right. All right, guys. So, with that being said, hey, we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to go ahead. We're going to conclude the live show. Like I said, I like to do these sit down lives at least once a month, usually towards the end of the month. Guys, remember, if you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free to do. It's just like following somebody. And keep in mind tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the last Sunday video for March, and then April we're going to be doing something cool with our Sunday shows. So stick around for that. And hey, as a reminder too, we're giving away those free poker chips at the Wendover Nugget. So if you're watching this from Salt Lake or Utah or any of the surrounding areas, or if you're going to go out to the Wendover Nugget in West Wendover, Nevada, swing by the Players Club and get you a free Cowboy Slots poker chip. It's a little token that you can take home with you. It even says West Wendover, Nevada on it. So those are 100% free. Just wanted to toss that out there and remind you guys. Anyway, stick around for tomorrow's show on Sunday. Really do appreciate each and every one of you. As always, best of luck, stay safe, and we will see you again next episode. Take care, guys.